What is up, my beaches? Over the past couple of months, I have been dabbling with a theory about a man. A man that is very odd to find at your place 11:30 at night taking a shower in your neighbor's guest bathroom. That man is Jim Varney. Warning: the following theory may be too scary for ladies and gentlemen under 4.45 years old. If you wish not to know the truth, don't watch. Now please watch. In the early rices of a Saturday morning afternoon, I was given a good slap in the face by Mr. Jesse Ventura. All he said to me is, "The truth is out there," and he immediately climbed out my window. That was scary. Now onto the theory. After watching some of my favorite classics of the past, including Ernest Goes to Jail and Ernest Goes to Camp, I was looking into the eyes of Mr. Ernest P. Worrell, and behind those eyes, I saw the man of Mr. Jim Varney himself. Not too suspicious, I would say. However, after watching all 9 of Ernest movies, the puzzle started to connect, and it all started with his 9 movies. We conclude that Mr. Jim Varney is the same person as Ernest P. Worrell. Ernest is only portrayed by Mr. Jim Varney. So is Jim is Ernest, then Ernest is Jim. Got that? Good. Cause we are getting deep. If the theory was this obvious, you will realize that 9 can be broken up into 3 threes. 3 sides, 3 angles, 3 corners. Obviously Mr. Jim Varney is not Illuminati confirmed, or they wouldn't have made it that obvious. But if the Illuminati isn't what's going on here, then what is? Something bigger. Way bigger. In order to find out, I had to look at not all the number of movies put together, but the movies themselves. The Ernest movies consist of the following: Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Rides Again, Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Africa, Ernest Goes to School, Ernest in the Army, and Slam Dunk Ernest. But what to do with this information? The simple answer is a code. We got a code to conclude that Jim was not in the Illuminati, but we need to find the real one. We were led to believe that Jim Varney was Illuminati to begin with. However, we know that is not the case. But the Illuminati is said to be an organization that controls the government. The government, the government, the government, the government, the government, the government. The government has 3 branches. But since this is a look within entertainment, we must look in entertainment in order to find the 3 true branches of the government. In episode 10 of season 1 of that 70s show, Stephen Hyde quoted that the 3 true branches of the government were military, corporate, and Hollywood. We can perfectly see this throughout his movies. But more on that later. First, we must identify a very well conceded trinity. School, jail, and camp are all examples of institutions of secret profit only to those who work there, mirroring a corporation. One of the 3 branches that we talked about earlier, 3 on 3. We have our first number in the code, 3. Next we see that there are 2 holiday incarnations of Ernest Adventures, so our next number must be 2. But we are not done yet. Both of those holidays have a special date they come up at, the 31st and the 25th. Thus our next 2 numbers must be 31 and 25. To wrap up, the branches of the government that Stephen Hyde had pointed out is rather quite simple. We already showed the corporation side. Now to find the others. Military is pretty simple, as it is Ernest in the Army. The Hollywood branch is pretty tricky, however, quite simple as well. Ernest depicts an example of a blockbuster treasure find as well as the sport industry service. Both are examples of entertainment, and now we have our real true branches of the government. 3 is our number. Last is Ernest Goes to Africa. Since it is not tied to anything, it exists on its own. Africa is one of 7 continents. 7 is our number. Now we are left with the code 3, 2, 31, 25, 3 and 7. Now we must decode. We have to take the 6 numbers we got into 5 2-digit numbers, since it's the only pattern that fully works. There are 3 3s, so we have 33. Let's continue. There are 2 2s, so we have 22. There are 1 1s, so we have 11. There are 1 5s, so we have 15. There are 1 7s, so we have 17. Our new code is 33, 22, 11, 15 and 17. Obviously 2 of these numbers are fake since they are not like the others. The numbers were put in the code to trick our senses from the truth. Those numbers are 15 and 17. Why, you may ask? Let me explain. 15 is put in the code because it is Mr. Jim Varney's birthday, which is the 15th of June, 1949. Is it also a coincidence that Mr. Jim Varney died in 2000? 51 years after birth. 51 is just 15 backwards. 17 is harder to determine on why it's fake, but can quickly be determined. We used numbers before to represent holidays. Christmas and Halloween to be exact. 17 can represent St. Patrick's Day. You can definitely say Ernest is an unlucky character. 15 and 17 are numbers that represent both Mr. Jim Varney and Ernest P. Worrell. So the numbers were obviously placed there to trick us. Now we have our real numbers. 33, 22 and 11. All numbers are divisible by 11. We have a final code. 3, 2 and 1. Sound familiar? That's a countdown to a space shuttle launch. What you might not know, Ernest almost had a 10th movie about space travel. Space and 10 are the key words. Space 10. Space 10. Space 10. Space 10 is a future living lab located in the heart of Copenhagen. The only key word within that facility description that is important to us is living. Mr. Jim Varney is still alive. But where is he? Let's recap what we know. Jim is alive. Space is an important term. We don't know where he is. My conclusion is that Mr. Jim Varney is lost in space.
Ding dong. Ding dong. Hey Vern, it's me Ernest. We need to talk. Please come quietly.